Welcome to the Kindred Spirits Show. I'm your host, Hannah Mary, and I am so glad to be here with you, my friends, today. I am a homeschool guru and mommy motivator, wife, daughter, sister to 4, and mama to 3. I help women succeed at their most meaningful job, motherhood. I believe you can have joy, clarity, and purpose in your home and schedule, that you have the capacity to raise your children like no one else. Let's make our motherhood a little more meaningful today. Hello again. Today I want to talk about something kind of fun that we've been doing in our homeschooling time during the day. This is something that could easily be used by anyone. So if you aren't a homeschooler, don't go running. When we started school this year, again, after our youngest was born, our daughter was born in February. And then COVID happened, and then we started school actually like right in that weird part where it was starting to feel a little bit like every day was the same, just to give a structure. We do a year-round schedule with our son who's 5, almost 6. And so I just started his schoolwork back up just to help give structure in this really weird time. I wanted to start doing something with learning manners because I have a little boy. So any boy mamas know that can be quite the uphill battle. Also because I was looking for our kids' interactions to be more polite and civil toward one another. And also the arts because they are important. And especially for our little guy who's 5, I wanted to introduce him to things like music and poetry. So I ended up digging back into all of my research that I have pinned on Pinterest and other places, and I rediscovered an approach that's popular in Charlotte Mason circles called tea time. Now, the idea being that you have a quiet time sitting, enjoying music and poetry. And I instantly love this idea. I am not so certain that I do it correctly, but I think that 90% of the things that I do, I just do them the way that I think they should be done anyway. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, then we go back and we research more and figure out what to change. So I instantly loved this idea. I was so excited to rediscover it, and I knew that if nothing else, I could get my kids to sit still for a little while if I put a tea tray of snacks in front of them. Real mom talk. Sometimes the best method is bribery, guys. And so this year, my motto in planning has been keeping everything super simple. I've really challenged myself to do the most with what I already have. So I did the same thing here. I did not rush off and buy anything really cute, even though I really wanted to. I wanted to go buy like a whole tea set and do that, but I didn't. I pulled together a simple tea tray of what we had that would accomplish my goals for tea time. I did purchase some snacks because I didn't have those sitting in my kitchen, and I purchased them specifically for our tea time at the grocery store. Otherwise, this cost me $0, and for our afternoon tea time, I picked up like special cookies, like the specialty ones from like Germany at Aldi. If you shop Aldi, you know this. Okay, for us, afternoon tea time made the most sense. I know that I've seen other people do it in the morning or whatever, but for us, afternoon was kind of that open time where we didn't really have anything. Our kids get their work done in the morning mostly, and so we had afternoon time open. This is something we try to do every day, kind of as a family ritual, so to speak. And whether our bonus daughter is there or not, we still do it. We alter a little bit what we're doing so that our son doesn't get bored. That way we aren't doing the same thing, like repeating too much. Okay. It's a nice break in our day. It helps us kind of refocus, reconnect before we go into the dinner hour. When we started this, like I said, it was in the middle of COVID. And so we would actually invite Daddy to tea because he was at home, not working in the office or anything. And so Aiden, our 5-year-old, would walk over and invite Daddy to tea. And then he would join us some days, and some days he didn't want to. But it was a fun thing that was part of like that schedule that really worked for us to help us kind of keep some normalcy. And we've just continued with it and we love it. So now he doesn't come to tea every day because he's not home every day now because he's back to work. But that was kind of fun too. And so a fun idea for this may be to, have one sibling invite the other when you're practicing manners or whatever. It was just a sweet thing we got to do. So what exactly do we do? And what are we using to facilitate this? What did I put together from our house to make it happen? Let's discuss that. So for us, we sit down every day at 3 p.m. or sometimes earlier, sometimes around 2, depending on how our quiet time goes after lunch. I have a basket of books and a tray of tea things that we just keep together, and then we pull them out before tea, and we prepare them for our tea time. On our tea tray, I have a tiered tray, like a tea tray that I keep. I have a set of cups, fine china cups and saucers, and I have a thing for cream, which we never use. I'm not sure why I even have the thing for cream out other than I like it. Now, also, you have to know that none of these things match. The china pattern of the tray and the cups are two totally different eras. The tea tray has gold running through it. The cups have silver on them. And the creamer is like a country thing, like farmhouse style. And the tray that they sit on is also kind of farmhouse style. So none of these things match, which I honestly think is a little bit more fun than having them match, because it's like playing tea. When we used to play with the mismatched toys, just we're bringing it into a learning setting, and I just think that's really fun. When we set up our tea time, I normally do the setting up, otherwise all the cookies would be gone day one after buying them. So I usually do cookies on all 3 tiers, and I only put out a couple on each, and I don't let them eat them all. So don't feel like I'm being terrible to my children, feeding them a ton of sugar. I really don't let them eat that much. But you could also do crackers, fruit, little finger sandwiches, scones, and jam, whatever sounds like a good idea for you. And I kind of love the idea of doing it different items based on what you're reading or listening to. So, for example, if you're reading an English poet, have English tea, like a real English tea. Figure out what they have on their tea tray and have that. If you're listening to a German composer, there's a lot of those. Maybe find out what tea would look like in Germany, or just some native treats from Germany. It's a great way to dig into the social study side of it, to kind of experience what you're listening to and studying during this time. And it makes it really fun. It makes it something that isn't like, oh, here's more schoolwork to do. This is one of the things that I love about homeschool, is that we get to do stuff like this, and it is learning. They are grasping concepts, and they are appreciating art, and they are learning about culture in a really, really fun way. I'm here to give you the best news of your entire year. The doors to my signature course, How the Heck to Homeschool, just opened. This course is jam-packed with the 4 pillars of what you need to homeschool successfully, how to have a homeschool mindset, the answers to all of your frequently asked questions and objections, how to do it legally and correctly for you in your state, and how to build your homeschool for your family from the ground up, perfectly aligned with your values, your vision, and the education your children need. The doors are open, but they won't be for long. Head to howthehacktohomeschool.online today to sign up. This course will change your life in the best way possible. Our teacups, like I said, are actually fine china teacups. They're from a set that I have that I just love. It's like a mid-century modern tea set. I don't know. They're these really funky, cool little starbursts with circles, and I just love them. This is not a set of cups that I need them to stay intact, right? One of them has a chip in it. I actually pulled out the one that already had the chip to give that one to our son in case he would break it the first day. And the other thing is that even though I don't need them to stay intact, I don't tell the kids that, because what I'm going to teach them with these teacups is I'm going to teach them manners, right? I'm going to say, okay, we need to be gentle with our teacups and we want to handle them nicely. We have to learn how to set them back in the kitchen without just throwing them in the sink. So this becomes part of what we're learning, is this gentleness that there is to manners and to taking care of things that are precious, that are of value, or that are just nicer, that maybe aren't ours. I technically own the teacups, so they should be nice to mommy's teacups, right? And then, of course, our cream pot that we do not use is on the tray, but it's fun to have it. I actually have a creamer and sugar set that I could get out and put on the tea tray. I just thought of that. But alas, we don't even use the creamer thing. What is that called? It's like a tiny pitcher. Like, is there a name for that? If there's a name for that and you know it, please comment, because I feel like I should know the name. Yeah, that's what's on our tea tray, and that's how we use it. And it's really fun. So I pull out all of the stuff on the tray just before tea time. I heat the water. I pour the hot water into the cups because my kids are messy and they would burn themselves. So I take care of that side of it, which is not really a problem for me, pouring tea. And so then I have tea bags that I keep in our cabinet, and I just buy like those variety packs. I usually buy the variety of like herbal teas, so I'm not giving them a bunch of caffeine with the sugar that's in the cookies. And the kids like to try them. You can find ones that are like berry flavored, so very kid friendly. Highly recommend doing that. I also keep some chamomile, Earl Grey, and chai for myself. The kids never want those, but it's nice for me as mom to have a little pick-me-up with the kids. And yeah, that's our tea collection. So now that we have discussed the actual like physical tea elements, like I have cups that I put tea in because you needed to know that, but I can talk about it, so here we are. Let's talk about the actual like learning aids that I've put together in the basket of learning aids for this time. So the first thing I grabbed was, we have the Big Book of Music Games by Deborah Olson Presnell and Lauralee Maleka. And I will link all of these resources in the show notes so that you can find them and I don't have to pronounce everybody's names. It is really fun. It has a lot of music theory in it, which we aren't really using, but there is a game about composers at the end of the book, which we are going to end up playing the game once we get through some more of the composers, which is just great. It's handy for reviewing facts about the composers. There's some listed on like the little cards that go with the game. It's a really good resource to have. We do not own any kind of recordings of the composers that we are currently listening to and learning about. So I literally just Google like the works of Bach or whoever we're listening to. Right now we're listening to Beethoven. And typically there's a list and they are linked to YouTube videos of the music. You can also find some of these works on Spotify. If you have a premium Spotify account, you can find the classic works of Bach and Beethoven and Handel and all of these on Spotify and just play the track you want. I don't pay for a premium account on Spotify. Otherwise, I would do it that way. I did consider it more deeply when I found out I could do it that way. So you never know. That may be in my future. So I just find them on Google and YouTube, which is the same company. And then I just play it over. We have like one of those, digital speakers that everybody else has. It's not an Alexa, it's something else. But anyway, I just play it over our Bluetooth speaker and we listen to it while we eat our cookies and drink our tea. Sometimes if I'm really lazy, I will just play it on my phone really loudly and be like, there you go. What else is in our basket though? Okay. We also have a collection of poems by A.A. Milne from Dutton Children's Books, the Mentor Book of Major British Poets, the Mentor Book of Major American Poets. I was never a poetry person when I was young, but I would love to cultivate that love of great writing in my kids, and so poetry is part of that, so we're doing that. I'm alternating. So on the weeks that we don't have our oldest at our house, we're reading, my son and I are reading the A.A. Milne poems, the collection of poems for our tea time, instead of listening to Beethoven, which is what we're doing with both of them together on the weeks we have her. Also in our books pile are some classic literature and short stories, including The Three Little Pigs, which is a collection, and again, I'll link this for you in the show notes, The King's Daughter and Other Stories for Girls, The Complete Works of William Shakespeare, Volume 1, and 4 volumes of the HBJ Treasury of Literature. And I know that sounds like a lot of things. However, we only consume them in really small increments. Tea time lasts us from like 15 to 45 minutes, depending on the interest of the kids. I do not push this at all. I want it to be a fun time. And so if we can do it and have it be fun, then yay. And if they are just not interested, I let them eat their cookies and they go play. We started off listening to Bach, and then we brought poetry in when I started alternating weeks. Right now we're listening to Beethoven, and then we will probably go into short stories next. So that's kind of the method that we've gone for. Music seemed like the easiest entry into this. Now, how are we making this learning time other than just listening to this? Well, both of my kids have journals, which I will link the one that my son has because it's really cool in the show notes. But they both have a journal that they bring to the table, and they have to either write what the music makes them feel or think. And if they aren't writing yet, which my son is not writing whole words yet, then they can draw a picture, whatever it is that they need to use to express how the music is making them feel or what the music is making them think of, so that they aren't just listening, but they really are engaging with the music. Also, when we do poetry or short stories, I will discuss with them and have them write down words that they don't know. Or sometimes we'll pick out a rhyme that sounds funny and we'll write that out. So, just a good way to get them to study a little deeper is to just interact with what you're teaching them just a little bit like that. So tea time has become just this great staple for us. And I hope that in sharing a little bit about this time with you, you might adopt it as well. There are so many good ideas on the internet, obviously, but particularly about this topic. So if you search Charlotte Mason tea on Pinterest or Google, you are sure to find more ideas. This is just what we're doing. And I think it has been one of the most beneficial things for our kids. It's been great time to sit together to contemplate great works of art, whether that be word or music. And I have thoroughly enjoyed adding this into our time together. I know that there are some people who swear by various methods of teaching things. Well, guess what? I am swearing by this one because I just think it is gosh darn fun and I love it probably more than they do, but it has been so beneficial for us to have this time to really sit and calm down and have a moment where we have a little snack, we spend a little time appreciating art, we practice our manners, and then we can move on with our day. And it is just one thing that you can do with your kids, whether it be something you do when they get home from traditional school or in the afternoons with your kids when you are homeschooling them. I just highly recommend adding this to your schedule. I think it is probably one of the most memorable things that's going to come out of our kids' homeschool time. And I know I will treasure our time sitting and talking about these things for years and years to come. So this is me recommending tea time to you. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you for listening today. I hope you found a little encouragement from today's topic. If you like this podcast, make sure to like and subscribe to it. If you absolutely loved this episode, leave a review. I love reading what you guys have to say about the show. I appreciate your support so much. You can find more from me at foreverkindredspirits.com, including the show notes from this episode, free downloads, and online courses. If you want to join the conversation, you can find the Kindred Spirits Show Facebook group in the show notes for this episode. I will see you next week. I'm always rooting for you.